Hi and hello everyone. So this is our first chapter, the living world. On this pandemic condition, we know that the real-time class is not possible. So we are giving this recorded classes to you. And once in a week, we are conducting live classes. So before starting my class, I tell you that you maintain a notebook. That is compulsory. After watching this video, you make your own notes, means lecture notes, okay, and write in your notebook. Keep the notebook neatly. If you feel any doubt in any portion, you can ask me to any time. The next thing is, actually this chapter is eliminated from our CBSE portion. Because of this pandemic condition, there is a time limit. Okay, that's why this chapter is eliminated. But this chapter is not eliminated from any entrance exam. Okay, and this is the basics of biology. So we have to study this chapter. Without studying this chapter, without knowing the terms of this chapter, we can't go through the next chapters. So my purpose is to, here we are starting our chapter. The question is, what is living? The chapter name is the living world, and my question is, what is living? So in your concept, what is the living? What are the features of the living organism? Biologists have a vast knowledge of living things. They find difficulty in defining life, as it is not a definable property. Life is a quality that distinguishes living things from the non-living things, and we know that living things can grow, they can attain a property, they can reproduce, they have metabolism. All these are the features of the living organism, but the non-living organisms have not this type of property. Okay, so the biologist concluded some points, or they characterizes some points of the living organism. Clear it is. Almost all living organisms share certain basic characteristics like growth, reproduction. Reproduction means the ability to replicate. Then metabolism, cellular reorganization, ability to sense surrounding. Ability to sense surrounding means consciousness. Okay, and adaptations. But not every organism displays all these features. Even inorganic substance may exhibit some of the above features. Okay, so living things are not only greatly dependent on their physical surroundings, but also interdependent on the another life forms. Clear? So we know the fact that the earth is filled with types of or millions of species. That is known as biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Diversity in living organism, that is known as biodiversity. Clear it is. W.G. Rosen, the term biodiversity was first time introduced by W.G. Rosen. The biodiversities are mainly three types: genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. What do you mean by this genetic diversity? Diversity in the gene. What is gene? Genes are the structural and functional unit of the living organism, and it is the hereditary unit. Okay, so suppose I have a gene and my daughter having a gene. Okay, these genes having some similarities. That means we are not same. They are not same is not a clone. Clone means just a copy. Okay, so all organisms having a type of genes, but having some changes. Clear it is. Next is species diversity. What is a species? Is I think all of you studied in the 8th standard what is species. Okay, so species is the simplest form of a taxonomy. Simplest form of a taxonomy, that is species. Species can, the same type of species can have the ability. A species is the base of unit of classification. It's a group of individuals having a common features or similarities. So all the species are not in the same group. Lion is a species, tiger is a species, leopard is a species, human is another type of species. Okay, so here the biodiversity also seen in species diversity. Next is ecosystem diversity. What does ecosystem diversity means? Ecosystem means where the organism is living. Where the organism is living. That is known as ecosystem diversity. Example, desert is an ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, ocean, fresh land, and terrestrial ecosystem. So different types of ecosystems are there. All the ecosystems are not alike. Clear it is. So that is biodiversity. So biodiversity of the earth is enormous. Okay, May 22 is considered as the biodiversity day. Why we are conserving or observing this type of days? To protect, to encourage the people to protect our nature. Clear? So biodiversity is a term used to refer the number of varieties of plants and animals on earth. There is a great diversity among living organisms found on the earth. They are different in their structure, habitat, mode of nutrition and physiology. The estimated number of species is 1.7 to 1.8 million species. Clear it is. The term biodiversity was coined by who? Who coined the term biodiversity? W.G. Rosen coined the term biodiversity. Clear it? The biodiversity is mainly three types: genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. Genetic diversity means diversity in the genetic level. Species diversity means diversity in species. Ecosystem diversity means diversity in the ecosystem level. Okay, ecosystem means where the organism is living. Diversity means difference. Okay, then what is the need of classification or need for classification? Actually, what is this classification? Classification is a process by which anything is grouped. Okay, suppose a classroom having suppose you consider a classroom, it having bench, desk, then chalk, board, everything will be there. Okay, we are classifying. This is a desk. Okay, so we are considering this is a desk. They are having some property, and bench they are having another property, like that. So here organisms are classifying. That means species are classifying. The main need for the classification is to organize the vast number of plants and animals into categories that could be named, remembered, studied and understood. Study of one organisms of a group gives the idea about rest of the members of that group. Clear? Study of any one of the organism of the group give an idea of the rest of the members of the group. Then classification allows us to understand diversity better. Okay, so this is the introduction about the chapter. Next we are discussing different portions of this chapter. Okay. Next we are discussing the properties of living organism. And I am taking the introduction. I told you that living organism having some properties. What are the properties of the living organism? Growth. First one is growth. Growth means living things grows in size and increase in number. A multicellular organism. What do you mean by multicellular organism? Multicellular means the organism having more than one cell. Okay, that is known as multicellular organism. A multicellular organism grows by cell division. Division of the cell, that is known as cell division. In most animals, growth takes place up to a certain age in their lifespan. Okay, so human also the growth is taking place at the certain age. After that, we are not growing. Okay. So cell division occurs in some of the tissues to replace damaged or the dead cells. In plants, the growth is continuously. Why the growth is continuous in the plant? Because in plant, the form of tissue is meristematic tissue. Okay, meristematic tissue is responsible for this continuous growth. Okay, and another interesting fact that the non-living things, non-living objects also can grow. Suppose we put a sponge into water. What will happen? imbibition of water will take place. That means the sponge will get increase in size. That means the increase in size means that is not a feature of the growth. If the growth occurs in cellular level, that is the feature or properties of the living organism. Clear it is. So growth therefore cannot be taken as a defining property of living organism. That is very important. Growth is not be taken as a defining properties of the living organism. Putting on weight as a result of overeating is not again considered to be the exact biological growth. Clear it is. The next term, the next property is reproduction. What is the reproduction? Producing young ones. So reproduction is another characteristics of living beings. Okay, it permits the individuals to make replicates. Replica means forming copies to themselves using the genetic material. Some organic molecules are able to make replicas from themselves. They lack of the other characters of the living beings. Every living organism have the capacity to reproduce either sexually or asexually. Asexual reproduction involves asexual reproduction means what? Asexual reproduction means there is a need of a single parent, but in case of sexual reproduction, two parents are required. In asexual reproduction involves no exchange of the genetic material, simply replication, simply a copying is formed. So the product of the asexual reproductions are just clones. Clones are, they are the photocopies. Example for this asexual reproductions are yeast. Yeast and hydra reproduces by budding. Planaria by regeneration. Planaria by regeneration. And algae, fungi, bryophyte, they are reproduces by the process of fragmentation. What is fragmentation? The parental body divides into different type of fragments. Each fragment have the ability to produce into young one. Clear it? And budding means the parental outgrowth. From the parental body, a new outgrowth is forming, and the outgrowth, when attain maturity, they detach from the parent cell and lead a separate life, that is budding. But in case of sexual reproduction, there occurs the combination of the genetic material from the two parent organisms. Okay, so the parental body already forms gametes. At the time of reproduction occurs the fusion of this gametes. So the fusion of two different gametes makes variations in population. All these variations are helpful for the evolution process. Are you heard about evolution? What is evolution? I think last 10th standard you studied about what is evolution. What is evolution? Any idea? What is evolution? Hereditary and evolution. We studied that the father of evolution is, who is the father of evolution? Father of evolution is, I know, you know the answer. Who is the father of evolution? I know, Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin are the father of evolution. Okay, and what is evolution? The evolutions makes hereditary variations. Okay, all the variations leads into the evolution. So evolution is an orderly change from one form to another. Evolutionary biology is the study of life forms. Okay, the next is metabolism. Metabolism means the chemical reactions, biochemical reactions taking place in our body, that is known as metabolism. Metabolism is another defining feature of the life without exception. Okay, so the metabolism is a type of defining feature of living organism. I told you that growth is not a defining property. Metabolism is a defining property of the living organism. All living organisms are made up of chemicals. Okay, inside our body can different types of chemicals. Living organisms acquire materials and energy from their environment for metabolism. Okay, they are capable. So these metabolisms are two types: catabolism and the anabolism. Catabolism and the anabolism. Catabolism is the breakdown. Breakdown means oxidation of complex substances into simpler ones, and they release energy. That is catabolism. Okay, and the anabolism means anabolism that involves synthesizing a material, that is known as anabolism. These together make the metabolism. So what is metabolism? Metabolism is the chemical reactions that takes place in our body, that is known as metabolism. These metabolisms are two types, catabolism and the anabolism. Catabolism is the breakdown of the material, and the anabolism, what is anabolism? Anabolism is the fusion or joining of the materials. For example, amino acids are joined to form protein. The breakdown of the protein, that is amino acids. Clear it is. Then the next is cellular organization. Cellular organization. So cellular organization means living organisms have a highly organized and complex structure based on their organic molecule. Organic molecule means carbon-based molecule. The structure and functional unit of an organism, that is cell. So some organisms are unicellular. Okay, the organism body contains only one cell, that is known as unicellular, and some complex organisms are multicellular because their body contains more than one cell. So these multicellular organisms are the higher organisms. So on their body, the cells are arranged to form tissues, and tissues are arranged to form organ. Okay, and organs are arranged into an organ system. Then all this organ system make an organism. Clear? So cellular organization. What is cellular organization? The arrangement of the living organism into cellular level. That is known as cellular organization. Clear it is. Here we are discussing the properties of the living organism, and now we are discussing the cellular organization, properties of the living organism. Next is consciousness. Consciousness means ability to sense surroundings. Ability to sense surroundings. So living organisms are aware of their surroundings. Okay, so they respond to the environmental stimuli. Stimuli means sensation. This could be physical, chemical or biological. So animal can sense the environment through their sense organs. Plant respond to external factors like water, temperature, other organism, pollutants, etc. Okay, in some plants, the photoperiod means the time of temperature, the length of the temperature helps for their flowering. Okay, based on this, the plants are classified into short period, long period, like that. All organisms from simple prokaryote to the most complex eukaryotic organism can have the ability to sense and respond to the environmental stimuli. Clear? This often results in the movement of individual for food towards the safety. Then the human being is the only organism having self-consciousness, which can be treated as another defining property of the living organism. So metabolism is a metabolism is a defining property, and the cellular organization is a defining property of the living organism. Then next we discussed about consciousness. Consciousness is also the defining property of the living organism. Then the next is adaptation. What is adaptation? Living organisms adapt to changes of the environment. We know that humans are homeotherms. Homeotherms means we have a constant body temperature, 36.9. That is our constant body temperature. That is not fluctuating. At the time of summer season, our body gets sweating to overcome the temperature. And at the time of the winter season, our body gets shivering to overcome the temperature. So we have some adaptations. Okay, to the changes in the environment. They have the capacity to evolve into a new type of organism. Then in case of the organism which shows hibernation. Hibernation means winter sleep. To avoid the winter condition, they undergo sleep. That is known as winter sleep. That winter sleep or hibernation. Same as the winter sleep, the next is summer sleep. To avoid the temperature condition, organisms are undergoing summer sleep. So opposite of the hibernation, that is aestivation. aestivation, aestivation. So these adaptations are passed into future generation that makes the species stronger. Okay. So here I am concluding the properties of the living organism. To conclude, life is a property exhibited by the underlying interaction. It must be noted that the properties of the organs are not present in the molecular component, but it is a result of the interactions of the molecule. Similarly, the properties of the tissue is the result of the coordinations of the different cells, constituents of cells, and not the properties of the cells. The living organisms are self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating and interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. Okay, all living organisms of past, present, future share the common genetic material to a degree of diversity. All these diversities are good for the nature because it leads into the evolution. Clear it is? So these are the features, these are the properties of the living organism. The must thing is after my class, you read the textbook clearly. Read means not simply read all the lines. Read it, concentrated in all lines. That is very important. Okay, main points you must underline. Then the thing is, the last year NEET exam, all the questions, 98%, normally 95% is questions coming from the NCERT textbook and the 5% is coming extra. But the last year, 98% is questions coming from our textbook. Only 2% question comes from outside. So the students who goes to the textbook, goes to the NCERT textbook, scores high mark. So again I am telling, textbook reading is very, very important. Okay, we are not saying together. Okay, so that doesn't make a gap between us. You anytime you can have any doubt, you can call me. Clear it is?